Cotton cola.
Hey everyone, so I know it's been a while, but I'm back and I'm here to tell you all my top 5 best and worst movies and shows of 2019 so far. I'm doing this because it's the end of June and it's halfway through the year, and I figure I'd share with you all my favorite and least favorite content from this year so far. Now, two quick disclaimers. One, I have not seen every movie and show that has come out in 2019 so far. I've been hearing amazing things about Chernobyl, but I still haven't seen it yet, and I'm really upset about that. I've been preoccupied with some other stuff, but I will watch it, and I'll probably love it. Also, I'm not going to include shows on here that where episodes are still airing. For example, Euphoria and DuckTales are two shows I've been watching, and Big Little Lies season two. Those are shows I've been watching that where episodes are still airing on television right now. So I'm not going to include those specific seasons. So yeah, that's really all I have to say for the intro. So this let's get right movie into it. Had a lot of potential, and there is some good in this movie. The cinematography is actually pretty decent. Production design, everything looks like it's from the 60s and 70s. And Zac Efron is doing a really good job in this movie. I think that his performance is one of the better performances this year. The only thing I don't like is that all of the characters, and literally, I mean all the characters, are extremely underdeveloped, and the script is pretty messy. The script is not that good. The dialogue is pretty, cliche at times. Also, in my opinion, this is the worst edited movie of the year. The editing in this movie is absolutely horrible. It will just jump between times just so randomly, and it'll sometimes cut even before like dialogue is over. I really did not like how this movie was edited at all. Now, obviously, this isn't the worst movie I've seen this year, but it's still pretty bad. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. I will admit I was a bit skeptical going into this movie. I've heard really good things, but I've also really heard really good things about How to Train Your Dragon 2, which I did like but didn't love. I know people in real life who are like, "Oh my gosh, How to Train Your Dragon 2, amazing!" And I'm just like, it was okay. But How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden Worlds, I really enjoyed it. Not as much as the first one, and there are definitely some issues I have with the movie. I think that the flashbacks of Hiccup as a young kid and with Gerard Butler are completely unnecessary. And also, those jokes about that one Viking who wanted to get with Hiccup's mom, I thought those were kind of creepy. But besides that, I love this movie. This was the perfect ending to this trilogy, this franchise. And yeah, How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is definitely, for sure, my fifth favorite movie of 2019. Man, this movie was such a train wreck. I really, really did not like this movie at all. Besides like Ken Watanabe and Millie Bobby Brown, I really did not like any of the performances or any of the characters that they were playing. Everything with involving the humans was incredibly stupid, and even the stuff involving Godzilla and fighting the other monsters. I mean, it was cool, but it could have been filmed and edited better. There are a lot of people who are, saying that, oh, the point of these movies isn't about the human characters. It's about, the monsters. So just ignore the human characters. And I get it. I get it. I get it. The point of this movie isn't to have a great story. It isn't to have great character development. The point of this movie is just to see some, kick-ass monster action. The problem is that even though there's more monster action in this than in the Gareth Edwards Godzilla movie, 90% of this movie is still the human stuff, the awful human stuff. So, unfortunately, I can't ignore the human stuff and solely focus on the monster stuff. I really wish I could. I really wish I could just turn off my brain and just watch and enjoy this movie. I really wanted to, but I couldn't. I couldn't ignore the awful human stuff, and I just really don't like this movie. I'm really disappointed with this movie for two, well, not with this movie, but just the background behind this movie for two reasons. One, I think that this movie obviously wasn't gonna make like a huge buttload of money because it came out in the same weekend as Aladdin, but I this movie should have made a lot more money, and I think that is partially because of Annapurna, who distributed this movie. Annapurna, who has distributed some great movies, if Beale Street Could Talk, and they also worked on Spring Breakers, which a lot of people hated, but I personally enjoyed a lot. Annapurna really should have done a better job with advertising this movie. This movie was not nearly advertised as well or as enough as I think that it could have. Pretty much everyone that I know or that I've seen online who have saw this movie have at least liked it. Personally, I loved it. I thought this was really funny. I do have a couple issues with certain character decisions, and a couple of the jokes didn't work, but I just really liked the dynamic between our two main characters. Beanie Feldstein and Caitlin Dever are doing a fantastic job. And yeah, I'm not sure if this movie's still in theaters. Probably it probably is already taken out of a lot of theaters due to how little money it's making. But if it's still in theaters, I highly recommend that you watch it. And if it's not, then I highly recommend when it comes out on DVD or Blu-ray streaming that you buy it. I was really actually looking forward to seeing this movie. I saw the trailer, and the trailer, was being very mysterious. Like I wasn't sure exactly what this movie would be about. I knew it would be like a post-apocalyptic film, but I was intrigued by the mystery. And it turns out that the reason why no story is revealed in the trailer is because there's no story in the film. It's just I don't know. I don't even remember how long this movie is. It's like an hour and 40 minutes of just people suffering or trying to survive and suffering and trying to survive and just and this movie is probably the most confusing movie I've seen this year. Like I wanted to walk. I This movie is horrible. I wanted to walk out after like 20 minutes, but I stayed, and I really wish I walked out. I really did not like this. The only good part of this movie is the actors. They're doing a pretty good job. Vera Farmiga, John Goodman, Ashton Sanders from Moonlight, Kiki Lane from A Field Street Could Talk. They're all doing a really good job. Just everything else though, is awful. Like many people, I was really skeptical about Toy Story 4. Toy Story 3, in my opinion, is a perfect film and the perfect end to the Toy Story franchise. So, like many people, when I heard that they were making a Toy Story 4, I was like, oh, do they really need to? And I went into the theater with a bit of skepticism. I was like, of course, I was going to go see it because, I'm a Disney shill. But I was going into this still with a bit of skepticism, like, oh, this could be, bad, or even if it's just okay, it'll still be disappointing. But thankfully, this movie exceeded my expectations. It was really, really good. I really enjoyed this a lot. This definitely surprised me. My only real issue with this movie is that Buzz Lightyear is really dumb in this, and it's and I get it. I get it. He is kind of a dumb character. In the first movie, he thought that he was a real space ranger, but I thought he was a little too dumb in this. Also, we don't get as enough time with like Mr. Potato Head, Rex, Slinky as I wanted to. But overall, this was a really good movie, and also just like with not as good of a way to end the franchise as Toy Story 3, but still a pretty good way to end things off for Woody, Buzz, Jesse, Bo Peep, and all these characters. Oh, and also the new characters. Wonder Park. Wonder Park is one of the worst animated movies that I have seen this decade. And I'm very much including like this I'm putting this among the same list of worst animated movies of the decade alongside Norman the North and Emoji Movie. It's that bad. It's really, really bad. There really isn't a story to this. I think that literally the only good thing about this movie is that A couple of the voice actors, you can tell that they're trying. The little girl, she's trying, and there is kind of a sweet message, but unfortunately, just this movie is just really bad. Literally, none of the jokes work, and just with all the behind the scenes drama with the director accused of sexual misconduct and all that, this movie, I can tell even like if this movie had decent jokes, it still wouldn't have been able to overcome all the behind the scenes drama and backlash and just yeah. But still, this movie, it looks ugly. It's not funny. It's not good. Avengers Endgame. I'm pretty sure none of you have seen this movie. Obviously, Avengers Endgame was going to be in my top five of the year so far. I think it very well could be in my top 10. Although actually I shouldn't say that because for the longest time, Infinity War was in my top 10 movies of 2018. But then I saw the Peter Jackson World War II documentary, They Shall Not Grow Old, and that Korean movie Burning with Glenn from The Walking Dead, and those kind of pushed Infinity War down. But still, like even if this doesn't end up in my top 10 of the year, this was a fantastic movie. This movie, a lot of things that I predicted would happen did happen, which I really liked. Um, and just yeah, this movie was the perfect way to end the Infinity Stone saga. I do wish that Marvel had did one of two things. One, I wish that Marvel had not made Far From Home and did all the character stories here, and then start over anew. Like instead of Shang Chi and Eternals being part of the MCU, I wish that Marvel would just create a whole new universe, and with those characters at the center of that. But no, but I'm fine with Eternals and Shang-Chi, and the Marvel Cinematic Universe still continuing. But what I really wish that Marvel hadn't done is I wish that Marvel had waited to announce Spider-Man Far From Home until after Endgame had come out. Because just announcing the fact that this movie exists is spoiling, Avengers Endgame. So, but those issues I have don't aren't really issues with the movie. I do have issues with the movie, but I already went into all that in my spoiler review of Avengers Endgame. So basically, just Avengers Endgame, Avengers Endgame, really good. I'm not gonna go too into this movie because I still want to make a whole separate video of this, but The Poison Rose, which I'm pretty sure none of you have heard of, it stars John Travolta, Morgan Freeman, Funke Johnson, Brendan Fraser, Robert Patrick. Man, this movie was a train wreck. There is literally nothing, and I mean nothing good about this movie. I do see in some scenes potential for goodness, is if that's even a word, but man, this movie was so bad. Just so awful. Just man, I like I said before, I'm not gonna go into specifics right now because I will make a whole separate video just on this movie. But like, if you were somehow planning on seeing Poison Rose, either see it with friends, see it while you. I don't condone drinking or doing drugs, but if you really are into that stuff, then you don't want to watch this movie while drunk or high, or just don't watch it at all. Just don't watch it at all. It's horrible. Birds of Passage is another movie that many of you probably haven't even heard of. It's from the director Ciro Guerra and Christina Galelgo, I think that's how you pronounce her name. Ciro Guerra also made Embrace of the Serpent, which was a film I saw recently on Amazon Prime, which was amazing. Like one of the best films I have seen of all time. It was that good. Birds of Passage, it wasn't as good as Embraces of the Serpent, but it still is really good, obviously, since it's my favorite film of 2019 so far. Birds of Passage will be in my. I'm pretty sure that'll be in my top 10 of the year. If not, I'll be really surprised. Birds of Passage. Some of you might find issue with the slow pacing and the story doesn't reveal itself right away. But I thought that those things actually kind of enhanced the story. It's very reminiscent of like Godfather and Scarface, not in terms of an action standpoint, but in terms of like like the mood and the tone. I really enjoy this movie, and if any of you are interested in seeing this and want to figure out how to see it, you can either rent it on Fandango now, or you can. I'm pretty sure it'll be available on Redbox in some places. But yeah, I highly recommend that to those of you who haven't seen Birds of Passage, watch it. I'm pretty sure that I really hope that you'll like it. What has been said about this season that hasn't already been said? There are countless, tons and tons of videos criticizing, bashing Game of Thrones, HBO, David Benioff, and DB Weiss for how awful season 8 is. Now, I don't hate season 8. It's definitely better, in my opinion, than season 5, and there are more positives than negatives. But the negatives really do push this season down. Just honestly, like what I said about the season, I've already said in spoiler reviews, and literally everyone on the internet has already said their piece about season 8 of Game of Thrones. So all I'm going to say is just Game of Thrones season 8, not terrible, but definitely disappointing. Rilakkuma and Karu is a Netflix Japanese stop motion animation TV show on Netflix. I already said that, and it's really good. It's really cute and very simple. Those are two things I really like about this series. Is like just the characters are so cute, the animation really really great, really gorgeous looking, and it's simple. It doesn't have really extravagant end of the world storylines or anything like that. It's just this woman uh, who's just trying to go through life, and she has her teddy bear companions along her who basically, are there to comfort her when things are going wrong. If you haven't watched this series, I highly recommend you do. It's really cute. It's really funny at times. It gets really weird, especially in the later episodes. But it's one of my favorite shows of 2019 for sure. You versus Wild was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed overall this series. I played this with both my parents. We got to choose, whether he'd eat the termite or the little ants, I think. I don't even remember. Termites. Um, I think I said so. Sorry. Um, basically, this basically You versus Wild is with Bear Grylls, and like Black Mirror Bandersnatch, it's a 8 episode choose your own adventure kind of thing. Basically, you get to choose what Bear Grylls does, whether he will climb through one dangerous area or another dangerous area. I mean, you know how Bear Grylls is. Um, it's not perfect. It does get after a while the choose your own adventure thing does kind of get a bit stale. After like the sixth, seventh episode, you're like, okay, we get it. The gimmick's old now. But overall, I thought it was fun. I'm really annoyed that Sneaky Pete got canceled because without spoiling anything, the end of season 3, it does resolve the conflict that was presented in this specific season, but it also did set up for a possible another conflict in the future season that I was really looking forward to seeing, and then Amazon canceled it, and I'm really annoyed by that because I really enjoyed this show. The first season I really liked. The second season I loved, and the third season I thought was really good. This show just is so clever. It's really funny at times. I love all the actors, and yeah, I really hope that I don't know another network picks this up and renews it for one or two more seasons. I heard that after Netflix canceled One Day at a Time with Rita Moreno, that Pop TV revived it for another season. And kind of like also what Netflix did with Designated Survivor and Lucifer. I really hope that another streaming service will pick up Sneaky Pete and revive it for another season. But If season three is the last we will ever see of Marius Josipovic and all these characters, then I guess it was a pretty good way to end the series. And overall, season three was really good. The Punisher season two wasn't terrible, but it was definitely underwhelming. It definitely was too long. There were definitely moments that where it really dragged. I thought that they should have gone the Iron Fist season two route, make it 10 episodes instead of 13. Iron Fist season two wasn't great, but it definitely benefited from being shorter. Having a bit more faster pacing. And I think that Punisher season two definitely should have had less episodes. And also, that therapist lady really annoyed me. Just everything about her was just annoying, and I thought that the actress's performance was pretty bad as well. But besides that, I did like Billy Russo's story. I liked Frank Castle. The new girl, the kid Amy, wasn't annoying. I actually really liked her a lot. And yeah, I am disappointed that all the Netflix shows just got canceled and dropped like that, and that it isn't very likely that they'll be picked up by another network anytime soon. But I don't know. Punisher season two. Um, it wasn't terrible, but it did leave much to be desired. This was one of the just not only this show, but the DC Universe streaming service was in general just so surprising in a good way. When they announced the streaming service and the trailer for Titans came out, I was like, "Oh, this looks really corny and dumb." But then I watched Titans, and the first couple episodes are pretty bad, but then episode 3 onward it gets so much better. And Doom Patrol, thankfully, from the start, is great. The weakest episode is definitely the first episode. That's really the only episode that I think is good but not great. But episode 2 onward, wow, Doom Patrol, amazing. Just absolutely amazing. Brendan Fraser, Timothy Dalton, basically like everyone is doing a great job. Matt Bomber, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, this show it's so original, clever, funny, and if you haven't watched the show, I highly recommend you do. Going back to Marvel, Jessica Jones season three, just like with Punisher season two, it did kind of set up for a future season. Jessica Jones season three also kind of sets up for a future season that we will never get. And this season was definitely better than season two. I think initially I rated Jessica Jones season two a 7.5 out of 10. It definitely should be way lower than that. Jessica Jones season two isn't the worst, excuse me, the worst, but it definitely is definitely not a 7.5 out of 10. It's more like a 5 out of 10. Jessica Jones season 3 is a lot better than the second season, but it has its dull moments. Everything involving Hogarth was just unnecessarily dull and bland and drawn out. I did like Trish a lot better. That was one of my main issues with Jessica Jones season two is that Trish was just so annoying. But here she's definitely a lot better. Also with Darius, I think that's his name is. Darius was a lot better. And obviously Jessica Jones story arc was is the best part. Also, I really liked Salinger. Salinger was really creepy, and that same actor is also in Russian Doll, which is another great Netflix show. And yeah, Jessica Jones season three was good, and I guess I don't know, like the ending is ambiguous, but at the same time it does tie up a lot of loose ends. So I guess as the final season of Jessica Jones season three, Jessica Jones overall, it isn't the worst, but I do wish that, like with all the Netflix shows, we got more seasons with better, more definitive finality. The Promise to Neverland is one of my favorite anime shows, not just of 2019, but ever. This was really disturbing at times. it was constantly had good pacing. I was never bored once. It just constantly keeps going and going, which I really liked. But it never feels rushed. All the episodes are great. All 10 episodes, in my opinion, are perfect. I guess if I really nitpicked, I could find issues here and there, but overall, I really enjoyed Promised Neverland. All 12 episodes are on Hulu right now, so I highly recommend you watch it. Like I said, there's some content where it's pretty disturbing, but it's not as bad as like Tokyo Ghoul or Devilman Crybaby or even Attack on Titan is more disturbing stuff than Promised Neverland. It has a great sense of mystery, great suspense, great drama, great characters, and amazing score. I highly recommend that you all watch it. I am a big fan of the original Twilight Zone with Rod Sterling. The movie that Steven Spielberg and John Landis directed parts of. I really don't like that movie. It's pretty bad. The segment with John Lithgow is genuinely great, but everything else is no. But I really enjoyed the Rod Sterling show. I haven't seen all the episodes, but the episodes I have seen are pretty great. And Jordan Peele I love Jordan Peele. He's great. And I was when he was announced to be the lead in the reboot for CBS All Access of the Twilight Zone, I was really excited. And after seeing all the episodes, I definitely left disappointed. This isn't a horrible show. There are definitely parts of each episode that I like, but the problem is that none of the episodes really stood out to me. And some of them are really predictable. Like the comedian episode with Kumail Nanjiani, I predicted like that was like I knew what was gonna happen from like the beginning. Um, there are elements of each episode that I like a lot. The cinematography, some of the acting. I say some because Tracy Morgan is just bad. Even in 30 Rock, a show that I love, he's just bad. Um, but yeah, Twilight Zone, the reboot, it's not horrible, but it's not good either. When They See Us was such a difficult show to get through. Not in a good way. This show basically is a four-part miniseries directed by Ava DuVernay, who also directed the Netflix documentary 13th and the great movie Selma. And basically, this covers the events behind the Central Park Five, aka the Exonerated Five, aka Raymond Santana Jr., Yusuf, Antron McCrae, Kevin Richardson, Corey Wise. I can't remember Yusuf's last name. I'm sorry, but yeah, basically, the first two episodes, without spoiling anything really major, the first two episodes, show them as young kids, basically when they're taken in by police and abused by the police. Really unfortunate, and the last two episodes cover them as adults. This I already knew about the Central Park Five from watching the Ken Burns documentary and reading articles and stuff, but watching this, even though I knew it was actors, going through the stuff they had to go through really broke my heart. Just seeing them, break down in jail and seeing these officers be so mean to them, and especially Corey in the fourth episode, just it was so heartbreaking. From a filmmaking perspective, this is incredible. The editing, cinematography, acting, writing, directing, everything is spot on. If I had to really nitpick for issues, I would say that the third episode does drag a bit, and the fourth episode is slightly rushed, but those are really nitpicks. This series is incredible, 10 out of 10 for sure. It's a difficult watch for sure. Like definitely, this is not a casual watch. You really need to sit down, really need to pay attention, and it's not easy to watch this, but it is an important watch, and I really hope that the five in real life, the exonerated five in real life, are doing all right, and their families are doing all right. And if you haven't seen this, I highly recommend you do. And Forgive me if you're not religious and if you get offended by what I'm about to say, but I am religious, I am Christian, and I'm going to constantly be praying for these five. And Ava DuVernay, you made an amazing miniseries. All right, so that's it on my top five best and worst movies slash shows of 2019. I hope you enjoyed watching this. I'm not sure exactly what my next video will be. I'm definitely planning on doing a video review of Spider-Man Far From Home. Not sure if I'll do a spoiler review or just a regular review. I plan on seeing the Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, although I'm not sure if I'll do a video review of that or not. I'll probably watch Lion King, but I'm not gonna. If I don't see it in theaters, I'm not gonna get all upset about it. But yeah, my next video will probably be my Far From Home review. So yeah, again, thank you so much for watching, and I really hope that you're all doing well, and hope to see you soon. Bye.